Alright, so recently I picked up this Tesla Model 3 as my daily driver, and some people love it, some people hate it, but one of the interesting things is definitely the minimalistic interior. So a lot of the controls are done via this screen here in the center. Again, some people love it, some people hate it. I thought it had a really interesting UI, and I thought it would be a nice video to take the UI that they've created here and recreate it in Qt and QML. And in case you've never seen the UI before on this Tesla, I will go through a quick demo and show you a little bit around it so that we can have a better idea when we go to implement it, how it should work. So if we look at the UI on the Tesla, on this side here, you can see that there's an interactive map where you can zoom in and out. And then over here, you can navigate around. There's some text along the top that gives time, temperature. This is a dash cam recording, and then your profile name. Oop, there we go. And then along the bottom, there's this window here or screen that you can bring up, and it has all your streaming services and music, and then you can collapse it down. On the left side of the screen here, you can see that there's information about the car, the gear indicator. You can put it into drive, and you see that it changes to drive, as well as some information here. Put it back into park. Put this down. And then along the bottom, we have some quick icons for different apps, and then temperature. If you click it, it will turn the temperature on, and then you can go left and right to change the temperature. And then this screen here, we'll have to remember that right now it's streaming, but it acts as kind of a landing page for whatever you do next. So if I want to go into my car controls here, it utilizes the screen where there was a streaming service. Now it's changed to this car controls. So we'll make sure that this screen is dynamic and that it will change depending on what you're doing. Again, if we put it down, it'll go back to the streaming. And I think if we click on this, it changes to car controls. Then we click it again, it'll go back to streaming. And I believe when we click the streaming, it'll just collapse it. All right, so I've taken some screenshots here of the screens on the Tesla UI, and this will be good for our reference. So let's go ahead and in Qt, let's create a new project. Let's make a new Qt Quick application that's empty. And let's just call this Tesla Infotainment. Okay, next, and finish. All right, and now let's just run it to make sure everything works. And there we go, we have our Hello World application here. Let's go ahead and change this to Tesla Infotainment. And then let's make the window 1280 by 720. Let's run that. And now we can see Tesla Infotainment, and the screen is a little bigger at 1280 by 720. And if you've seen some of my videos in the past, I do like to do a little bit of file management in the project directory. So let's go to our documents and Tesla Infotainment. Let's go ahead and create a new folder here, and we'll just call this UI. And then let's create a folder in the UI folder called assets, which if we need any icons, I'll just put in my assets folder. And then anytime I create some new QML screens, I'll just have it in the UI folder as well. So let's go back to our screenshot as our reference and see what we have going on here. So here, if we look at the whole picture, it can be a little daunting or overwhelming, but if we break it down, it should be a lot more manageable. So if we try to break down this UI, we can kind of separate them into separate components. As we saw while we were testing out the UI, this right screen here is kind of independent from this left screen, meaning if we move around the map or expand this bottom bar here, it doesn't really do anything to this left side of the screen. And if we play around with stuff on the left side of the screen, it doesn't really impact the right side of the screen at all. As well as there's a bottom bar here kind of like a navigation or status bar that is also independently controlled and visualized from these two. So I guess if we want to break down this UI into separate components, we can have a right side of the screen here, a left side of the screen, as well as a bottom bar. So let's start with making this bottom bar here. All we want to do is just make a black rectangle. So let's do that. Let's say rectangle, and we'll call this bottom bar. So now let's go back to our screenshot here, and let's look at how we kind of want to anchor this bottom bar as well as set the height and widths of it. So if we look at it, the left and right are anchored with the left and right of the screen. It also has a bottom anchor of the bottom of the screen. And then for the height, I like to make it relative to the screen size. So if the screen size changes, so will the height of the bottom bar. So let's go ahead and put in our anchors, where we said the left was the parent.left, and the right is the parent.right, and then bottom is parent.bottom. So the left and right anchors will take care of the width of the component. And so the height, let's just try out something like this. Height will be the parent, which is the window, dot height, and we'll say, let's make it a 1/12 of it. And then let's run it. Oh, we forgot to give it a color. And let's call it black and see what that does. Oh, gotta close this first. Then rerun. All right, so here we can see that we have a black bar. The left and right anchors are set up as well as the bottom. And the height is a 1/12 of the actual window height. And that looks pretty good. So if we were to change the height of the screen, you can see that this is also dynamically changing with the height of the window itself. All right, so I think that looks pretty good, but let's go ahead and change this bottom bar. Instead of being a rectangle, let's create a custom component for it. So let's first go into our UI folder, and let's create a new folder, and we'll just call this bottom bar. And then let's do new cute Qml file, and this will be in our Tesla Infotainment folder within the UI folder, and then our bottom bar folder. And we can just call this the bottom bar.qml. Next and finish. And now we have our UI bottom bar here, and it's empty now, but let's go ahead in our main.qml. Let's take this, take it out, and put it into bottom bar. We can save that. And now since we've created a new Qml file, let's just run qmake, save all. And now in our main.qml, let's go ahead and import UI bottom bar, so that now we can have a bottom bar component, and we'll just call it bottom bar. Let's go ahead and run that. Oop, gotta close this. And now we run. And we can see that we have our bottom bar in our main window. So now let's go ahead and set up the right side and the left side of the screen. Here, if we take a look at the right side of the screen, I'll start it out with a rectangle, and I'll set up the anchors as the top is the parent top, right as the parent right, and then bottom I can anchor to the top of the bottom bar. That will take care of the height of this component here. And as the width, I think I'll do about 2/3 of the screen, and we'll see how that looks. So let's go ahead and in our main window, let's do a rectangle, and we'll call this right screen. And our anchors, we did the top is parent.top, bottom as bottom bar.top, right side is going to be our parent.right, and then we said the width would parent.width times 2/3, so that will make it 2/3 the width of the parent, and then the height is already set up by the anchors. And in order to visualize this, let's just give it a color of orange, and let's see how that looks. Okay, so we don't see anything here now for our rectangle. Let's see what's going on. Top is parent.top, bottom is bottom bar.top. Oh, so actually it's not parent.bottom, it's parent.top. Let's go ahead and run that. All right, so every time I'm trying to rerun the application, it's not automatically closing our existing running application. So let's go ahead and change that. Let's go to Tools, Options, under Build and Run, build before building, stop application before building. Let's just do same project. Okay. All right, now let's run this. All right, so first, let's just make sure that our build and run is closing our existing application. So let's go run again, and it closed the previous one and launched a new one. All right, and now let's look at our screen. If we move this over and move this over, yeah, I think it looks pretty good. I think we can keep that. So let's go ahead and create a new directory here, new folder, and we'll just call this right screen. And let's close this, and let's create a new Qml file in our UI folder and right screen, and we'll call this right screen.qml. Again, let's go ahead and copy our rectangle from here and put it into our right screen, save it, and then go back to main.qml. Let's go ahead and import our right screen and make a right screen component, call it right screen. Now let's run that, make sure everything's working, and good, everything is still working. And now just to finish up the main layout, let's create a left side component here. So let's go into our UI folder, new folder, left screen, and then in here, let's create a new QML file, left screen.qml, put it in UI, left screen, next, and finish. And then in here, let's change this to a rectangle, call it left screen. And let's take a look at our screenshot. So the anchors of this left screen here, left will be parent left, top will be parent top, bottom will be the bottom bar.top, and then the right side we can anchor to the left side of the right screen. So let's go ahead and do that. Anchors, left is parent.left, right is right screen.left, bottom is bottom bar dot top, and then top is parent dot top. And then to visualize that, let's give it a color of blue. And then main.qml, let's import our UI, left screen, and then let's create a left screen component and give it an ID. Now let's run it and see what happens. All right, so we can see here we have a blue rectangle here for the left side component. The right side has the orange rectangle, and this bottom bar is black. So this looks pretty good so far for a kind of bare bones framework for this over here. And as you can see, if we go ahead and resize this screen, it's still keeping the relative width and heights of these components. So as we resize the screen, it's going to try its best to look visually similar to what we want it to be. So that's good. Let's go ahead and close this. All right, so let's go ahead and now implement this map here on the right side of the screen. Luckily for us, QML actually has a built-in map type component. If we look here, this is built into QML, I think since 5.6. And if we look here, it also gives us an example of how to use it. So let's try this out. So we'll copy this, and in our right side of the screen, we'll put it here. And since I'm using 5.12, I'm going to actually just change this to 12 You can keep the 5.6 and it should still work, but I'm just going to put it to 5.12 since it should be the latest to my Qt framework that I have installed. All right, so now I have the import set up for the QML components, that being Qt location and Qt positioning. Here we can see in order to use this map component, we need two components, this plugin component and the map component. Now the plugin component indicates which type of map plugin that we're going to be using. Here's the open source map that is included with Qt, but there are other ones like Mapbox GL, Esri, I think there's a Google Maps one. Now, if you want to use something like the Mapbox GL or the Google Maps one, you just have to go and download the plugin, and then you can change the name of that here. I believe that stands for open source maps. I could be wrong about that, but again, if you want to use a different one, you have to download it and then indicate that here. And then in our map component, we indicate which map plugin we're using. Here you can see the map plugin matches the name of this plugin here. So if we go ahead and just copy this and then put it in our right screen, we can actually get rid of color orange. Let's put this in here. All right, so we can get rid of all this. Again, we're indicating that we want to use the open source maps. And now the map component is going to fill our parent, which is the right screen here. It's going to utilize this map plugin component. And then we set the center of the map, which is the coordinates of where we want the map to start out looking at. Here we can see that in this example, it sets out as Oslo. I believe that's where the Qt company is headquartered in. But for our Tesla, let's look up Palo Alto coordinates. And we can use this latitude and longitude here, 37.46. We'll put that here. And the longitude is -122.14. And we'll put that here. And let's just say Palo Alto. Now let's go ahead and run that and see what this looks like. Here we go. Now we can see in our Tesla Infotainment application, we actually have this map here now centered around Palo Alto. And we can move the map around, we can zoom out, we can zoom in. So that's good. This takes care of the map component. Luckily, Qt has this built in, so we didn't have to create our own custom map component, and that saved us a lot of time. All right, so now that we have the map portion of this screen implemented, let's go ahead and add a couple more elements to each of the other components, such as the bottom bar and the left side of the screen. That way we can have a few things on each component and it doesn't look so barren here, you know, with the blue and the black. So on this left hand side, let's go ahead and add a car. So I'm just looking up car render, white background to kind of give us this car image with the same effect that is going on here. Let's look at images, see what we can find. Let's see what we can find here. This one actually looks pretty good, and almost even, I think this might be a render of a Tesla, dreamstime.com. All right, let's go ahead and grab this. All right, so this looks like an actual Tesla render, which works out for us. I actually do have a paid account with Dreamstime, so I can go ahead and download this and attribute the image properly. So let's go ahead and download the large one. I'll go ahead and copy this as well and put that in the description of the video to make sure that I'm crediting the author. So let's go ahead and grab this, and let's just change this to car render. And we'll copy that into our Tesla Infotainment UI assets. Let's put that in there. And then in our qml.qrc, let's add an existing file. And it's going to be our car render. So here we can see that. And now let's go to our left side screen. And let's remove the blue color. Actually, let's just make it white. And then add the image, ID car render. And we will center it in the parent, which is the left screen. So anchors.center in parent. And let's go ahead and take a look at this. So the car itself is looks like about the center of the screen. the width is a little smaller than the width of the left-hand screen, which is the parent of this image. So we can set the width to probably, let's say 75% of the parent. And then we don't have to set the height. We can just have the fill mode to be preserving the aspect fit. So if we go to Qml image fill mode, you can see here the different fill modes, and what we want to do is preserve aspect fit, which will scale the image accordingly. There are other ones here as well that if you want to take a look at and try out yourself, you can do that. I primarily only ever use preserve aspect fit, but there are some cases where you may want to use the other ones as well. So let's go ahead and do that. Again, we want to center it, which we've already done. Set the width to about 75% of this left-hand side, and then the height we can leave empty and just set the fill mode. So let's go ahead and do width is parent.width times 0.75, and then let's do fill mode as image.preserve aspect fit. And now we want to set the source, and we can just copy this pat URL. And since we added this car render.jpg, let's go ahead and just run qmake in case, and let's run it and see what happens. All right, so now you can see here, we have the map here and we have our car image. I might even want to make this a little bigger at 0.85. And because we download the large version of it, when it scales down in this environment, it doesn't look very good. So let's actually go back to Dreams Time. Let's actually download the small version. Let's hit download, and that's here. So show in folder. We'll just call this small car render. Let's go ahead and copy this, put it into the correct folder. And I'll just keep this car render in here just in case we ever need it. So let's go ahead and add that new file. All right, and in our car render, let's change this to 85%, and then here we'll do small car render. And let's see how that looks. All right, so that looks better. Here we can see it's not as pixelated now since we used a smaller image. This map still works, so let's go back here. It's not the right direction, but it's close enough. So now we have this car here showing up on the left hand component. Let's add this image of the car in the bottom bar. That way we have something showing in each component. And then we can go back to the right hand screen and flesh it out more to match this UI here. So let's look for a car icon. If you watch my other videos, I like to use flat icon. And let's just look for a car. And I like the look of this one. It actually looks kind of like a Model S from the front, but this one's a little beefier, so I'm going to use this one. I'm going to log in as well. All right, so now let's go ahead and download this. Then we'll edit the color to make it white. Oh, let's make this white, and then let's download it. 64 by 64, free download. All right, so now I downloaded that. You might have seen this jump around a bit and the colors change. That's because I signed into my account, my Google account, in order to sign in with my flat icon account, and it downloaded all my Chrome themes. So if you saw it jump around, that's why. So let's go ahead and go to the icon that we just downloaded, and let's copy it and bring it in. UI, assets, and let's paste it here. And in our Qt application, let's go ahead and add an existing file and the car. So let's run Qmake. And now in our bottom bar, let's add an image, and we'll call this the car settings icon, and the anchors. Let's take a look at the anchors. Here we can see that it's in the bottom left of the screen. Actually, if we're thinking about it in terms of where it lives in the UI, it lives in this bottom bar component. So if we just want to look at it in the sense of the bottom bar, it's actually in the vertical center of the bottom bar, and then the left side with a margin, I'd say around 30 pixels. So we can set the left margin to the left of the parent with a 30 pixel margin, vertical center with the vertical center of the parent, and then the height itself, let's say around 85% of the height of the parent. Again, we don't have to set the width. As long as we set the height, we can then set the fill mode to preserve image fit, and it will scale it accordingly. So let's go ahead and do that. Anchor's left is parent.left, and then we want left margin of 30. Let's do vertical center, parent.vertical center. Height, let's do parent.height times 85%, and fill mode, image.preserve aspect fit. And then we need to set the source, and we'll grab that sedan here, copy the URL, and now let's see how that looks. All right, cool. So now we can see that the icon is here. It looks pretty good. I don't think I'll change anything about that. And we have the car here and this map here. So now we have some kind of visual on each component. On the left component, we have the car. The bottom bar, we have the car icon. And then in the right-hand component, we have the map. So let's go back to our screenshot, and we'll start fleshing out this right-hand component. Here we can see that there's a lock unlock, time, ambient or outdoor temperature, I believe. This is dash cam, and then our user profile. We also have a search box here for navigation. I'll put a little placeholder in here. I won't fully implement the navigation. I think that would be outside the scope of this one video. So for the information along the top, I think I'll make a C++ class that will provide the information to Qml so that's not hard-coded. So let's go ahead and do that. So first I'm going to go to my project folder here, the Tesla Infotainment project folder. I'm going to create a new folder. I'm just going to call it controllers. Just like how I like to keep all my UI Qml files within this folder, I like to keep all my C++ classes in this folder as well. It's just easier for me to find in the future if I need to look back on it. So now that I have that folder, I'll go here and I'll do create new C++ class. And let's just call this system, and it'll inherit base class, and we want it to live in controllers. Next, finish. All right, so now we have our system class, and let's take a look. We want a property for lock unlock, so let's go ahead and do that. Here I will add a Q property, and it'll be a bool, and we'll name it car locked. All right, so now we can right click on this and refactor, generate missing Q property members. If you haven't seen some of my last videos, this here will just generate all the setters and getters for this Q property. So let's do that. So now you can see we have the getter here for the bool car locked. We have the setter here, as well as the private. Oh no, so this was not made private. I usually do like to keep this private. So let me do that. Private. Okay. Good. And then we can see that Qt Creator has placed these setters and getters in our header file. I like to keep it in the C++, so let's do that. Move definition to system. Go back and do the same thing with this. Move definition here. Good. Perfect. So now we have a property for car locked. Let's go ahead and set the initial value of it in our constructor, m car locked, and we'll set it to true. And now if we go back to our screenshot, we can see the time here. Since QML has a built-in time component, I won't make this a Q property within our system class, but let's do temperature. So let's go to the header and do Q property. And this will say is an int, and we'll say outdoor temp. And then we can right click on it, refactor, generate, and then let's move these over to the implementation file. Good. And it's automatically put this outdoor temp member variable in our private, so that's good. Let's go ahead and set the initial value m outdoor temp to 64. Cool. Okay, and let's go back here. This dash cam icon, I think I'll just leave out for now. And we'll just do this one last one, the user name. So user profile name. So let's go ahead and add that Q property, which is going to be a Q string, and we'll name it username. And let's generate and move. And let's set the initial user to Monty. Good. All right, so now we have some Q property members here. Let's go and add this in our main.cpp. Again, I did make a video in the past on a couple ways to expose C++ classes to QML, one of which being the set context property, and then another one being the QML register type. But in this particular instance, since I want this system class to live throughout the life cycle of my application and not be instantiated by QML, I'm going to use the set context property method when exposing it to the QML. So let's go ahead and add the header file, controllers, system.h, and then let's instantiate an object, system, and we will call it m system handler. And to set the context, we first need to do QML context, which is going to be our engine root context. And now let's do context.set context. Oh, so it's not auto completing, so I think I need to include QML context here. So now let's try that again. Set context property, there we go. And what we're going to call it in our QML is system handler, and we will pass it the m system handler class or object. There. All right, so now we can go to our right screen and we can start adding this information up here. But first we're going to need a lock unlock icon. So let's go to flat icon and do lock. All right, I think this is good. Hopefully there's an unlock with it. Yes, right here. So I'm going to download this in the color, which is black, which it already is. So let's download this 64 pixels, free download. Lock is all set. Now let's go ahead and download the unlock, which is right here. And let's do this 64 pixels, free download. All right, so now we have unlock and lock. Let's go ahead and go to our downloads folder, grab these two and put it in our assets folder here. Now we can go to Qt Creator and add that here, add existing files, lock and unlock, open. Let's go ahead and run Qmake. Now we can go back to our screenshot And so now we can see that this lock unlock icon is in the top left of our right hand component. So we can just do anchors left is parent left and top parent top. And then we can give it a margin of 20 all around. So let's go ahead and do that. We are in the right screen here, right screen.qml. So let's do image, and we'll call this lock icon. Anchors left is parent.left, top is parent.top, and we'll set margins of 20. And for the size, so this icon is quite small. Let's start out with doing 1/15 of our width for the width of this icon, and then just set the fill mode to preserve aspect fit, and that should scale the height accordingly. So first let's do width is parent.width divided by, I think I said 15. And then fill mode is going to be image.preserve aspect fit. And for right now, let's just hard code it to do lock.png. So source. All right, now let's run this and see how it looks. Here we can see that it's in the top left of our right hand screen. It's a bit big. I think I would even want half of that size. So let's go back here to our lock icon, and let's do 1/30 and see how that looks. Okay, that looks better. Still a bit big. So let's just do 1/40. And now here, let's set the source actually. And what did we name it in our system.h? It's car locked. So here, let's do a ternary operator. We'll do system handler.car locked. And if it is locked, then we want to do the lock.png. Otherwise, we want to have the unlock here. All right, so if you're not familiar with this syntax, this is just a ternary operator. It's just a more concise way of doing a Boolean statement. So it essentially expands to if system handler.carLocked equals true, then do this, else do this. Okay, so now let's go ahead and run that. And we can see the lock icon here, which is good. And to make sure that this works with the lock unlock, we can even add a mouse area on it. Here, lock icon, mouse area, and we'll do anchors.fill parent. So this mouse area here will fill this lock icon, and we'll do onClicked. We'll say we want system handler.set car locked to system handler not car locked. So all this will do is when we click on the mouse area, it will set the system handler car locked to the inverse of what car locked is. So if it's locked and we hit it, it should set this to unlocked, and vice versa. If it's unlocked and we hit it, it should set it to locked. So let's try that out. All right, we can see that the system is locked, and if we click it, it's a small change, but you can see that it is unlocked. Let me see if there's a better icon even for that. So this one here, or even this one, will make it a bit more obvious that it is unlocked. So let me just download this one, and we'll do 64 pixels, free download. So let's go ahead and copy that file to our assets folder. And then let's remove this one, unlock.png, and rename this to unlock.png. And now let's try it out again. Here we go. Here's the lock icon. unlocked. You can see it's unlocked now, and if we click it again, it's locked. All right, so next, let's see, we have the time. So let's go ahead and put that in. All right, so I thought that Qml provided some easy way to provide a time for displaying, but after looking through some documentation, it actually doesn't look like there's a good, easy way to get the current date time in an auto updating format. So I'm actually going to go ahead and go back to system.h and provide that myself. Let's go ahead and add a Q property here. And we'll have it be a Q string, and we'll say current time. And let's go ahead and add that, generate missing members, and then move it over to the system.cpp. All right, and then I'm also going to add a Q timer. Number include Q timer, and then in our private, we'll do Q timer, and we'll call it M current time timer, and then let's add a slot for that here. Void current time timer timeout. See, there's a lot of time in here, so let's add this. And now let's instantiate our timer object. Current time timer equals new Q timer. Do this as the parent. And then let's set the interval for it. Current time timer dot interval. And let's have it update every 500 milliseconds, so every half second. Oh, is it set interval? Yeah. Set interval 500. And then let's make a connection. Connect M current time timer, and the signal Q timer is timeout, and we want to connect that to this, and this is system current time timer timeout. So anytime this Q timer has finished this 500 millisecond timer, it will call this current time timer timeout slot. So then let's also set M current time timer dot set single shot to true. So this just says that the Q timer will only run once, and it won't run continuously, meaning when it times out, it's just going to stop and it won't restart. We'll control that ourselves in this slot here. All right, and then to set an initial value for our time, let's just go ahead and call this current time timer timeout manually, so that this will set the initial value of our mCurrent time Q string. So let's go down to that function here. And this is called immediately, as well as anytime the timer times out. So all right, now let's grab the time. So Q string, call this current time equal to Q date time. Oh, I think we need to include Q date time. Let's go ahead and do that. Number include Q date time. Let's go here. To string, and then the format that we want is going to be hour, minute, AM, PM. So we can do that with this, hour, minute, and then AP. And it looks like I can't actually call that function, so let's do Q date time, and we'll say date time, and then we'll copy this and do .toString. All right, good. And now here, let's also set current time to the current time. All right, so now this should be called immediately, as well as when the timer's timed out. So here, let's also start our timer. So M current time timer dot start. Good. All right, now in our right screen, let's go ahead and add some text here to show the current date time. It'll be to the right of this lock icon. Actually, let's go back here. So the time will be to the right of the date icon. Has a pretty significant margin here. I'm going to try something like 40 or 50 point. Then I'm going to anchor. It looks like the bottom is aligned with the bottom of the icon. So I'm just going to do that and then set a somewhat small pixel font since it doesn't look very big. So let's go ahead and add some text here. ID, and we'll say date time display. And let's set some anchors. The left of it is going to be to the right of the lock icon. And then the left margin, let's say 40. Bottom, we want to align with the lock icon dot bottom. And then font dot pixel size, let's try 12. And then font dot bold is true, because if we look here, it does look somewhat bold. Let's set the color to black. I think it is black by default, but just do that just in case. And then we'll do the text is going to be system handler dot current time. So let's run that. All right, so I'm not seeing the text here. I'm not really sure why. System handler is not defined. Right hand screen 36. Car locked, but the car locked is working. Yes. All right, let's put some text in here to see what's going on. Okay, so we do see the text here. It looks good. Actually, it should be a little bigger, I think. And hour, minute is correct, but it would be military time. So I'm wondering if this is causing an issue. So let's remove this and this. And it's AP, right? Yes. And let's add a space there. And let's run that. Still nothing. So let's go down. Let's add a qdebug statement here. Include qdebug. And let's go here and say qdebug current time and see what it is outputting. So current time is actually outputting nothing. So I don't think we're doing it right. I think maybe here, let's do datetime dot current date time and see if that's right. Yes, all right, so that works now. The issue was I was not calling the current date time on the QDateTime object. So that is working now. We can get rid of this debug statement so that doesn't fill up our console here. And let's stop it. And let's rerun it and just make sure it looks good. All right, so this is good. This is good. I think that text actually looks pretty good as well. Actually, it's a little more bold, I think, but we'll leave it there. 64 degrees F. Let's see, do we have this set up here? Yes. All right, so let's set up something for our temperature. 64 degrees F. We'll do the same amount of margin on the left side here, and then we'll copy what we have for the date time. So let's go to our right hand screen. Let's just copy this here, paste it, and this will be our temperature, or we'll say outdoor temperature display. The left anchor is going to be the right of our date time display. Left margin 40, we can anchor it to the bottom of the lock icon, just like we did with the date time. And then for the pixel size and style, we can keep it the same as the date time as well. And all we have to do is change this to temperature, outdoor temp. And then we can just change the current time. Instead of displaying current time, we'll do temp. Outdoor temp is what we called it here. And then let's add degrees Fahrenheit. And how I like to just grab the degree symbol is I'll actually just Google degree symbol. And then I'll copy this, put this here, and then F. So let's see how that looks. Good. So we have the lock icon, we have the date time, and we have the temperature displayed. Now let's go ahead. I'm going to skip the recording or Sentry mode recording here, and I'll just do this profile name. And just to save on some time, since we've already did the icon here, I won't do this user profile icon. It's exactly the same as setting up an image here, which we've already done. So I'll just do the username and call it done for this. So let's copy this again, put it down here, and we'll say username display. The left is going to be anchored to the right of this outdoor temp display. And then all this can remain the same. And this would just be now username. All right, good. So here we see lock icon, date time, temperature, and our username. And it stays no matter how we move the map. And we can lock and unlock the vehicle. And actually you just saw this date time change as well. So that looks pretty good.